What's up, guys? I hope you're doing okay and all is well for you. So, I decided I'm gonna start a series. Sorry, somebody is talking outside. I was gonna start a series and it was going to be called Becoming. So, this is the first episode. I'm gonna make sure they're not as long as the other videos, but it's gonna be 12 episodes. So, this is the first one. Um, I am realizing so this first part of Becoming is gonna be called Affliction. And I have been realizing lately that the moment where God is ready to build you to become something, the moment where God has decided and has put his choice on you to be the one that he's going to use, the first thing that comes to you is trials. The first thing that comes to you is difficulties. The first thing that comes to you is tension. It's funny how it can be the moment where you get the calling of God on your life that trials come. Notice with me, with a few people in the Bible, Mary, young woman looking into getting married, looking into starting a new life with her husband, and then Grace chooses her. And the day Grace chooses her, now she's a woman who gets a child out of wedlock. She's a woman that has to run away and deal with the rumors. She's the woman who has to carry the Messiah, but the weight of that call comes with a lot of affliction. I can even go further. I can talk about David. David, God put His choice on him to be the king of Israel. God put the choice on him to be the one that will lead his people wherever he needs to go. And the moment he gets there, now he's hated by the king. Now he goes through so much. He is chosen at 17, but he becomes king at 30. But before sitting in the place where God chose you, before becoming who you need to be, for David, 13 years were necessary. Affliction, running away, being chased by the king, not being safe, those were the cost of being chosen by God. John the Baptist, son of a priest, who is supposed to perpetuate the priesthood and continue because he was a Levite, now found himself in the desert. Instead of being a priest, now he's a voice that cry out in the places where nothing grows. Can you imagine what calling can do to you, what being chosen by God can do to you? John the Baptist is chosen. John the Baptist is the one who will prepare the way for the Messiah, but his life has to carry the weight of his calling. And the weight was to stay in a place where nobody knows him, in a place where he will not even be recognized as a person, but he will be recognized as a voice. He will not even be recognized as an entire human being. They call him la voix qui crie dans le désert, the voice that cry out in the desert. Sometimes that is a cost of calling. Affliction, difficulties, trials. And it's so interesting how God uses affliction to build us, to make us better. I love one thing that he said in the book of Judges. It says, let me look for it. It's a verse that I love so much, that I've been meditating on lately. Wait. It's Judges 14, verse 14. It's Samson who's giving a riddle, and he is expecting people to be able to give him the answer. And the riddle is saying, out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. And what I love about this riddle, especially for the part where he says, out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. You can read the entire chapter if you want, but my understanding is God is able to make a source out of you. But before you do that, you have to go through affliction. That's why he's saying, out of the eater, you were the one who used to eat before, but now something to eat will come out of you. And for something to eat to come out of you, you have to go through a process. You have to go through a season. You cannot just become a source, just waking up today and then that happens. And my favorite part, out of the strong something sweet. The thing is, when affliction comes toward us, when difficulties come toward us, it's like God trying to remove all the hatred, to remove all the sadness, to remove all the affliction, to remove all the bitterness that we have inside, so that all we can remain with is something sweet. That is why it is funny, and I've always said this, and I've always asked God, if the heart is as important as it is to you, why did you make it so fragile? If the heart is as important as it is to you, Why didn't you make it as impenetrable as possible? Because God needs you to be soft, because God needs you to have feelings, because God needs you to be a representation of the fruit of the Spirit. And the fruit of the Spirit are like very soft things, like goodness, joy, kindness. Nothing like that can come out with a heart that is hard. And I've also noticed that one of the biggest reasons God does that to us is because our heart is not just that important. Our heart for Him is also a land. It's also soil that He needs to use so that something can grow out of it, so something beautiful can come out of it. There is no way something beautiful will come out of a hard place. It is impossible for something beautiful to come out of a hard place. But Jesus says here, out of the strong, something sweet. That means the only person who has the capacity to take something strong and remove something sweet out of it is God. That's why He even says, I will take your heart of stone and give you a heart that is made of flesh. Affliction come so that you stop being hard. I feel like the moment where you give up on being that hard, and if you keep feeding your affliction, you're gonna keep on being hard and being harsh and being mean and being bitter. And I think the process of bitterness and of pain, it's not one that you receive and then you keep inside. It's one that you just let flow through you until it can go. I love what the Bible says. When I go through the valley of death, you're going through a valley. You are not going to a place where you're going to say, you're going through. But what if you get in the middle of the valley and then you sit there? You build a house there. How are you going to leave death if you have chosen to build your house where it is? You have to go through it. You have to let the affliction go through your body, and you have to ask God to give you grace. To give you grace to become soft. To give you grace to become sweet. To give you grace to not be bitter. Because if you become all those things, you will never be all the things that He wanted you to be. So if today you are strong, I want to remind you today that out of you something sweet can come off. If today you are the one who eats, out of you something to eat can come out of. And that's the plan of God. The plan of God is for you to become a source for many, for you to become a blessing for many, for you to become like after all she's gone through, her heart did not become hard. After all she's gone through, she's still kind, she's still good. That's who our God is. After everything we've done to Him, after everything we've said, after every time we've given up, after every time we have chosen sin, we have chosen addiction, we have chosen sadness over Him, when He looks at us, His heart is not hard. It's soft, and it's filled with compassion, and it's filled with love, and it's filled with grace, and it's filled with mercy. Out of something strong will come out something sweet. And I feel like this should be one thing that you carry this year. This is one of the biggest parts of becoming. Accepting affliction and not letting affliction harden your heart. Don't do that. Don't allow affliction to harden your heart. Don't allow the people around you to make your heart difficult. Don't allow unforgiveness to do this to your heart. Do not allow anger, bitterness to do this to your heart. Just keep in your mind that out of something strong, something sweet can come out. And that's it for today. I feel like I've given a good intro for what I wanted to talk about. And it's something so beautiful to me to know that even though I have been hardened and I don't know how to go back, He can do it for me. He can do it. He can take a heart that is harsh, that is filled with bitterness, and make it sweet. And what's that process, you mean? Because there's a process He takes you through. The process that makes your heart soft is this. This book helps your heart become soft. Reading it every day, meditating every day, spending time with God every day makes you look more like Him. I love a Bible verse that says, we behold like we're looking into a mirror. So the more you spend time with Him, the more you listen to his word, the more you build your spirit, the more you give him space in your days, in your afternoon, in your evenings, the more you read his word, the more you meditate it day and night, the softer your heart becomes, the more forgiving you become. Because the Bible said these words are spirit and life. So they have the capacity to regenerate something inside of you. So they have the capacity to bring something that was not there. They have the capacity to drop a seed that will build a tree that of fruit that is worthy of repentance. So this process of becoming is hard. The process of becoming is really hard. But the first step is affliction and refusing for your heart to be hardened. So, yeah, please share the video to as many people as you can, as we started this series, and I'm still trying to grow my channel. So please join my community of young people who want to learn about Jesus, about vulnerability, and all the things. So, blessing to you, and I will see you on my next video that will be tomorrow. Blessings.